It is Thursday.
It is the first day of fall, and I don't know about you, but
it's officially the first day of fall?
Yeah, it's officially the first day of fall.
Shout out to fall.
And I kind of feel
or
fallish.
Falling through. Falling. Shout out to Lion
Your
King.
colors are a little fallish.
Shout out to Bishop. You've been waiting for fall for the longest time. So
yeah, it just feels good. I just came from the doctor and she was talking about how crisp the air felt.
And we live in Cali, so that summer heat was summer boiling. What is it? Global boiling was oppressive. Yeah. So we're glad to see it go.
Glad to see it cool down a little bit. So, all right, listen. There is a very popular television commercial that says,
What's in your wallet?
What's in your wallet?
Shout out to Unc.
Yes. And so, you know, the answer to that, if you pay attention, is Capital One, right?
If you're paying attention.
Well, today we're asking the question, what's in your heart?
Ooh.
And even more importantly, how do you find out what's in your heart?
Because
sometimes you don't know. Everybody be going around doing this, doing that all the time. But what's in your heart, really, right? So if you want to know how to find out what's in your heart, stick around. This episode is for you. Hi, I'm Pam Williams, a mother.
And I'm Jessica E. Williams, a daughter. And this is a mother and a daughter truthful chat, where we discuss our 35-year multi-layered relationship.
We've been through so many ups and downs. Not only are we family, but we're business partners in the high-stress world of event planning and production for short films.
We've also shared the same therapist for over 10 years. What some people call codependence, we call collaboration.
So join us as we share stories from our lives,
have candid conversations with other mother-daughter duos,
and shed light on the roller coaster ride of being a woman while raising a woman. So, hey, welcome to Truthful Chats.
I showed my cup early, but you know what it is. It's official. It's official when we clean.
All right, welcome to Truthful Chats, designed to engage us in the ongoing practice of getting to generational wellness. All right. And if you want to know what that is, check out our videos, check out our Instagram, Facebook, all those good things, and you will find out what we mean when we say generational wellness. So we have a generational wellness theme, a Create Generational Wellness theme every month. And on Thursdays, when we come here for our Truthful Chats and our sips of lemonade or whatever we might happen to have
today. Very rarely any liquor in
here. Unless it's a special occasion. We unpack that theme a little bit. And so our theme for this month is know.
Because it's September.
We need to know things, back to
need
school,
to know a lot of things.
Education,
I don't do that
learning,
anymore.
Whatever. But in September, I always feel like I should be
schools in session.
I should be.
I'd be like, look at y'all going to school. I already did it.
Yeah. So today's episode is Know Your Heart.
Subtitle: Align Passion and Find Happiness.
Yes.
Align passions and happiness.
Align passions and happiness. So it's an essential part of living a well-balanced life, or as we said last week, living my best life.
I ain't going back and forth with you. Shout out to Lil Duval.
Yes. So we're gonna try and see how we can know our heart a little bit, so that can help us.
And I know that has like a very like sappy terminology to it, but you know
us, we don't mean it like that.
That's why I keep saying "hort" like that. Anyway, so what does it mean to know your heart? It's essentially connecting your emotions and your inner desires, connecting with them first and foremost. Okay, everybody's probably more or less born with them. I assume. I don't know. We talked about how you come up with values and your system of things that you prioritize and all of that.
But even if you look at little kids, especially
that's true, you
new
be
generation
really
of kids,
what they be caring about.
You can see early on what they like and what they don't, and what sparks their emotions and what sparks their energy. So it's in there. You just have to
uncovering, and understanding what truly matters to you as a person. And then aligning those with the correct decisions and actions that are reflective of what's going on in your little hort. So you're just being aware of your feelings and your inner person, and hopefully allowing that to guide your decisions in ways that are good. Hopefully, I know that's a relative term, but anyway, anything that is genuinely pushing you toward where you feel like you want to be in life. Okay. But we all know Life is gonna life. Satan is gonna Satan. Okay. We live in a society. It's also capitalism. It always comes back to that. Too. I'm not saying the other forms of government are superior. They all have their problems. Okay, we'll just go with that. But anyway, society is all into rationalizing, rationality. There we go. I know words. Practicality and things and
You've
things
been working a lot.
And things of the sort. And so it could be really hard to think that your emotions are worth sitting down and spending time with, right? Because we all about what's practical, what's most efficient, like what's going to get the job done.
There's get to the bag.
There's hustle culture, you know what I mean, which is great, but also people end up. We were actually talking about this last week. Sometimes you end up doing a whole bunch of stuff that you really do not care about. You are not aligned with. You don't. Some of y'all work at places where if it burned down, you would be like, we don't know who that is. This is real time.
Real time surprise.
Some of y'all work at places where if the place burned down, God forbid, you would be like, well, that's it for that place. Like you are just not connected or aligned. You more than likely are chasing the paycheck. There's nothing wrong with that. Pay your bills, do your things. But sometimes it's not really aligned with what's in your inner being. And so, yeah, man, sometimes you got to buck the status quo a little bit because people will always tell you, especially when you become an adult, not 100% in my case, I feel a little blessed, but they be like, make that money, do whatever you got to do to survive, do whatever you do, da, 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 da. And that doesn't stop from the time that somebody is able to pimp you into the lifestyle of working, they're going to keep pimping you into working. Okay. And some people are like, I'm just doing it for right now. I'm doing it for right now. I'm just doing it for right now.
And you look up 20 years later.
And you look up and you don't spend half your life in the I'm just doing it for right now type situation. So that's what we're going to be exploring today. I hope that was clear. I have been working a lot. My brain is working a little bit, but also
it's got a little lag.
It's when your stuff be buffering, the internet's not quite. It ain't quite there.
That's a good way to put it. That's a good way. So listen, it seems like it might be a good way to start at the very beginning. I'm a big Sound of Music fan, and the sing-along is coming on soon.
Is it really?
Yes, it's September. What's today?
I didn't go to the first one. I let that move too, but I didn't go to none of them.
What is the date? I might have missed it. I think it was the 16th.
Girl, today is the 21st.
Okay, yeah, I think I missed it.
Definitely
anyway,
missed it. It was absolutely last.
I love Sound of Music, but that part in the movie where Maria's trying to teach people to sing, and she's saying there's only so many notes, and you take those notes and you mix them up and you put them together and whatever.
That's game for life. There's only so many.
Only so many notes, and the combination of how you put them together makes
that's your own cover. That's your life cover. Okay,
that makes the music. But you're not gonna find no new notes out there somewhere. It's just a way of how you put the notes together that make a different sound.
Now, this is a little shady, but some of the young ones, me and Brandon talk about this. Some of y'all, the churches y'all ain't in church, so y'all ain't learning from the choir stand. Ain't no music in the school. So some of y'all are absolutely out here making up notes, okay, in a very real singing context. And some of y'all might be doing that in life, but essentially,
pure music.
When we talking about pure,
do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
Y'all be that's not.
Do.
Right? That's not a real note. So just stick
So my point about that is, in life, as you're going through life, there's only so many notes. There's only so many variations of things that you could put together to use to come up with your life. And if you go out there, like Jessica said, and you're trying to make up some new notes, you haven't mastered the basic notes of understanding who you are, of learning about yourself, of
where your craft, where your skills at.
Yeah, self-reflection, thinking about what makes you happy.
We literally talk about every week.
Right, because that's all it is, really. Those are the notes. And you got to put those together to come up with the best notes and the best music and the best soundtrack for your life. All right, the best soundtrack for your life. So you can't do that though without kind of knowing what's in your
heart.
What's in your heart. That's how musicians make music. They hear a sound, they hear a melody, they hear something in their mind and their soul and their spirit. You hear things in your heart And I think a lot of times people want to try to ignore it because
or override. Hit the override button. Override.
It doesn't line up with the image you have of yourself, where you think you should be, where you want to go, what your life is right now. You want to try to change it up and make it be something else when honestly, you need to start at the very beginning and understand and know your heart. And then once you know what's in your heart, you have to figure out how to use it. Why is it important to know what's in your heart? How do you use it? What's it helpful for? All right.
Yeah, I would say an analogy for that because it just came to me. It's like, we don't use maps anymore. But shout out to Waze. We would love to do a promo spot for you, Waze. Whatever you need, we got you. But you do have to run us a check. But like we have this thing where we be like, don't try and outsmart Waze. I did do that today. I did end up in traffic. But that was an L I was willing to take at that particular time. But it's one of those things where like we're talking about the bare basics of your heart, right? Like they built that site to have like bare basic maps of like where to go. Now what's cool about Waze is I guess whatever the satellites that Waze have that be satelliting, they can tell you like, ooh, girl, it's traffic right here, or oh, homie, the police are right there, or it's an accident right here. So it's actively in real time calculating what's going on. I think some of us are living our lives via road. We just want to stay on the little map and do the thing and whatever. Might not be happy doing it, might be hitting a lot of traffic, a lot of unnecessary obstacles, a lot of things that maybe you shouldn't be going through. But this is all about challenging you for the upgrade, okay? Download the upgrade, which is knowing your own little heart, because then you can get updates in real time about the directions and places and spaces you should be going. But you can't do that if you're on autopilot, if you running on roads.
Not trying to pay attention. Let me tell you another thing about Waze.
Waze is
not going to, this is what I've discovered about Waze. Waze is not going to give you the shortest amount of time directions.
But it's going to give you the best route though.
But it's going to give you the route not to sit in traffic. That'll preach.
And even today, it gave me a route where I sat in traffic. I was going to go a different way. And I got on here and I was like, I'm sitting in traffic, I'm mad. But it said I would still be there at a particular time. And more or less, give or take a couple minutes, I pretty much made it.
Yeah.
Now, when I was going the other way, I was in a lot of traffic.
And I'm a person, I'd rather.
But I still was like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I would rather drive a little longer if I'm going to miss the traffic.
I did. And I drove, I missed a lot of traffic. And then, I hit the 405 and that is.
Yeah. And that's the way I kind of am about life. If it takes me a little bit longer, but I miss hitting them bumps and I miss hitting like a roadblock or getting stuck. It might take me a little bit longer, but I'm kind of willing to go around the other way a little bit.
And that's far what we're saying in this analogy is, again, if you are tapped, if you know your heart basic notes, okay, you tapped in, you build in, you have your generic maps, you could go that way, okay? But then you could also get that young upgrade in order to make decisions because you know what's going on up in here. So this is the rub though. Is it always a good idea to follow your heart when making decisions? People will talk you out of that on many, many occasions. And they're not always
wrong. People will try to talk you into it on right. many different occasions.
And they're not always wrong. So there
Just follow your heart. Go with your heart
and depending on who says that, it could not be the best.
Could be problematic.
So saying all that to say, there's really no blanket answer. It really is a sort of case by case basis and very individual. Okay. Because that's even the thing with, there's a bunch of different plethora of options of apps that show you how to get places, right? You can use Google Maps, you can use Waze, you can use to each his own with the maps, okay? And to each his own with how you're gonna live your life and what your little heart is telling you to do. So I think that the best thing in terms of figuring out, again, sometimes your heart is the best thing to listen to and make a decision, other times not so much. But there are some things you might want to keep in mind, okay? The main thing is practicality, okay? How practical is this that you're doing? I'm a millennial. Sometimes I'm not the most practical person. I just feel like this should be happening and this should be the thing. I have said baby boomers and other people that be like, yeah, bro, that's a nice idea, but nah, fam, that's like, let's look at this practically. That's probably not gonna happen like that right now. Don't mean not never, just not right now, okay? So how practical is this? Is everyone on board? I'll go ahead and say that too. Yes, I'm talking about usually in romantic relationships because people swear up and down that, you know, we've been in church a long time. People be like, that's my so-and-so. My God's told me. Is the other person that on board with it? Or are you just making it up? I know I'm bursting bubbles and breaking hearts, but it's true. Okay. Are there long-term consequences for said decision that you get ready to make? Okay. If this is something, it's practical and ain't gonna have no dire, terrible, or even just uncomfortable and unpleasant. Okay. Long-term consequences or situations. Um, Following your heart can lead to fulfillment and it can lead to happiness. But again, there are things to consider.
And back to those consequences.
Take it.
Sometimes you can't calculate what the long-term consequences
You sure
are.
can't.
You can't see that far in the future. You think you can.
It's Raven. Remember when Raven used to be tunnel vision and she would see a piece of what was going to happen. It wasn't the whole thing. And then she'd be trying to prevent that one moment and it might not even been all that serious.
Yeah. It's navigating life is not easy. But again, you hear people talk about the North Star or whatever, but you gotta have you gotta have a baseline. When you're doing an experiment in school, I wasn't that great at science, but
I enjoyed it.
They usually, if I remember right, there's like something that you're saying, okay, this is what we're trying to prove. This is the baseline. This is where we're starting the experiment, and then we're gonna see where it goes from there.
I have an idea about how this is gonna go.
Yeah. You have to know what your baseline things are in your life. And that comes from, knowing who you are, as in the Lion King. You have to know who you are. And that starts, part of that is knowing and understanding your heart.
And it's all about decision making, right? So we've talked about these things. Here we go. I said, remember the steps are the same. Making decisions based on if it aligns with your values and your priorities at that moment. Remember we talked about last week, your priorities be changing as your life evolves.
Shifts,
so
yeah. My priorities at 36 are not my priorities at 68. It's just not.
Again, is your decision practical? Okay. Can everyone be on board? And what's the impact for the future? Again, not just for you, but for everyone involved. Because sometimes
the program is called Generational Wellness. So,
and also just
before you, after you,
human consideration. Because sometimes people's hearts be telling them to do what's the best for them, but they don't be putting on the rational,
they're not global thinking
brain part of like, okay, if I do this, it's gonna affect this person and this person and this person and this person. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do what you're doing, but I would say take that into consideration because contrary to popular belief or what people will tell you, whatever you do, don't just affect you. I know people like to think that. We're even a global human family, okay? I think global boiling is a essential point, okay? You think you littering ain't gonna make that much difference. You think you having some gas guzzling car that ain't gonna, but now we all hot, we all sweating. It's raining in places there should be sunshine. There's sunshine where it's now snowing.
It's supposed to be freezing.
There's tornadoes and hurricanes and all the things Jesus has taught us about in the Revelations. Okay, consequences. Again, consider the potential ramifications of the consequences, short term, long term, for all the people around you. And then sometimes whatever decision you making or whatever your heart is telling you at the moment, just don't line up with any of those things, and you got to decide if you're gonna go with it or be like, Evan, I'm gonna do it anyway. Okay, but if you're gonna do that, you just got to be willing to listen. I let it line up with my whole heart. It didn't. $2,000, and I love her, and I know it was phenomenal. I just was not gonna pay $2,000 to be standing on concrete.
I had to know my heart. My heart said,
child. So it'll probably be on Netflix or something. I enjoy it. It's not gonna be the same as being there. It was the birthday show. I get it. I understand. But I was like, ooh, it don't line up. And then sometimes you just gotta decide if you want to do it. I think a good example of this is one of our new favorite shows on Apple TV Plus. Shout out to Michelle Shea, the Bythewoods, and Everybody Named Mama on Swagger. Love it. Season 2.
Don't spoil it for the people that haven't seen it.
I'm not.
Okay.
But
There's a situation.
One of the main characters. It is an ensemble show. Shout out to O'Shea Jackson Jr., aka CubeSat, who I would say is the star. Okay, and then there's all the babies. So
because it's a show about basketball.
It's a show about basketball.
And he's the coach.
He's a coach. They started in middle school. They're in high school now.
And they're amazing. They're an amazing basketball team. But
he wants them to be better men. Okay, young men. It's a coming of age, young adults.
It's a really good show. If you're not watching it, check it out.
It's a really good show. So anyway, the main star player is Jace Carson. Everybody loves Jace Carson. Sorry, he just said that last episode, and I was like, he's true. Anyway, this particular character has had a friend that he's had for his entire life. Said character, she is a female, her name is Crystal, gets into a situation in the first season, not her fault, okay? It's not her fault. Involving someone who was an authority figure over her life. I'm doing a really great job not spoiling.
You are.
And then y'all should pay me. Authority figure. And at that time, they are in middle school. So this situation is occurring. Crystal finally tells Jace about it.
They're afraid to tell an adult.
They're afraid to tell an adult. Which
they don't believe the adults will believe them.
No frontal lobe cortex, right? It's just like, let it happen. It'll work out. I'm strong. I can deal with it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
I'm glad we're touching on that.
Jace, being the real that he is, was like,
we're going to handle
I'll deal with it. I'm tired of hearing about this. And
we're going to handle it.
He and several of his friends who happen to be his teammates on the basketball team decide to handle it, okay, in a way that I agreed with personally. We can agree.
A 14-year-old boy might think it's the right way to handle it because he's following his heart.
Which
that's
is
our point.
I'm gonna protect my friend.
I'm gonna protect my friend.
I'm gonna do, and this is the only way that I can think to do it. So that was a effort, okay? I don't know that he thought about the practicality and the long-term consequences, but at that time,
he just knew what was in his heart. His heart, man,
okay, to do.
He was like, I gotta handle this.
So season 2, said incident resurfaces. They are now older in another place. And now the long-term consequences of that very temporary decision start to come in. We'll leave it there. You should go ahead and get you an Apple TV Plus subscription if you don't have one, or use a friend's, and go ahead and watch season 1 and season 2 of Swagger if you want to find out the Jace and Crystal saga and hard decisions and how they work out.
Hard decisions that are made in haste, sometimes made out of passions, which passions are not a bad thing, which we're getting ready to talk about. But again, you got to
long-term fulfillment and happiness.
You got to balance. You got to like, okay, this is what my heart says. This is what I'm passionate about. This is what I feel. This is how this could turn out. But again, when you're a 14-year-old boy, you ain't got no frontal cortex to help you make all
long-term decisions.
Yeah, make those decisions. So we get it.
Do I say that made sense at the time? Absolutely. Am I team Jace Carson? You bet. Like when they brought it up for second season, I said, I don't even really know why we talk about this. Like I was like, that's over and done. Executive decisions were made. Y'all can feel some type of way about it, but
I hope we make y'all want to watch the show.
All the adults was not on it. So shout out to this baby for doing what his heart told him to do. Now consequences, they're gonna catch up. But
we know some people like that.
If you willing to do the time, you know what I'm saying? Whatever that looks like. I'm not trying to spoil anything. Okay. Yeah. But just saying that's an example. Okay. We storytellers around here, so we like to.
Yeah. We like to watch the stories and see what's in real life that we can pull back out. And again, like I said, it's his heart, your passion. They're going to tell you some things to do.
All the time. Actually.
All the time. But they can be a little bit different. Your passion can grow from what's in your heart. But I really like to think of passion as something that you enjoy doing. All right. If you're passionate about
actually something, enjoy doing.
Yeah, you actually enjoy doing. But your heart goes beyond that. Your heart is kind of like the motivation for why you have the passion that you have. For example, I am really passionate about kids. I'm really passionate about kids not being mistreated, being paid attention to. You hear me say it all the time. Pay attention to your kids, listen to them, watch, see what they're into, try to nurture them spiritually, artistically, whatever. I'm very, very passionate about that. And it's in my heart. You know, if you scratch me, I'm going to bleed a little kid somewhere in there that I want to see realize their full potential. So I guess maybe that's what I'm passionate about. It's like seeing people realize their full potential, whether they're, and I'm like that about kids, but I'm like that about adults too, which is one of the reasons why we do this podcast, is because I'm passionate about seeing people understand what's going on in their hearts, in their minds, in their emotions, in their desires, in their values, and then seeing how can you use that to achieve the best
happiness,
the best version of your life. Let me put it, you know,
living your best life.
Yeah,
which is what we've been saying.
The best version of your life. So, it's essential that you line up your heart, you line up your passions. If it's something that's in your heart, you're passionate about it, and you're not doing anything connected to that, you are going to be very unhappy. I guarantee you. You're going to wake up in the morning, not want to get up, not care about getting up, not want to do nothing, you're just going to be like, oh.
And some days you just might feel that anyway.
Even if you are. But if you don't have anything that you're passionate about, I guarantee you that's going to look like the trajectory of your life. And that's not a good place to be. So you got to find that balance between doing what you enjoy and what you really love. And following your heart, it can be challenging because a lot of times you have a desire that's really important to you. Society says something else.
Your family, your friends say something else.
Bills say something else. All these different things come into place.
Collide.
But you have to find a way to not lose what's in your heart and to keep it at the forefront, or keep it close somewhere. In a place where you protect it and you don't let people block it out. I think the picture for this week's episode shows like a lot of stones and then this heart in the middle of it. So you have to be careful not to let your heart get hard or callous because of things that happened in the past. We've all had some incident of somebody breaking our heart and we say, I ain't gonna never love nobody again because so such and such and such. But when you do that, you cut off, it's like cutting off your nose to spite your face. To stop loving is to stop being passionate about life, to stop caring about things, to stop caring about people. And that's turns into a miserable existence, right?
And I think to untangle your passions too. Because a lot of times, like we've talked about, if we haven't done, like you said, the self-reflection, the journaling, the meditation, all the things we say every week about knowing us, then we end up taking on things that like other people want first, right? Yeah. Or everybody in the family does this thing, so we got to do it too, like without really assessing like, okay, do I just want to do it because I've seen somebody else do it, which typically happens, right, in a family business or a trade. But a lot of people who are like, they wake up one day and they're like, I'm just doing this because so-and-so said I should do it, or they thought I would do it. I was really good at it, but I don't have a passion for it anymore. I don't care about it. You hear a lot of, young kids, because we, live in LA. So like they used to really be passionate about maybe acting or, music or sports or whatever the thing is, right? But then one day they just wake up and they're like, I don't really love this like I love it, like I used to love it, or I'm not willing to commit or sacrifice at this level anymore. So then you got to adjust. And that might make you feel a little lonely, a little bit lost, a little vulnerable, which we're going to also talk about. But that's part of the process too. And I think that's important for people to hear because, people be looking at you like, now what are you doing? And why are you doing that? Shout out to y'all with the immigrant parents, man. Like for y'all parents that, sacrifice, y'all came from other countries to come over here. You be talking about, I don't really want to be a doctor, right? Like, and they was like, oh, we really finna come up. And then you start changing the plan. Like, that's hard to be able to walk away from, all that comes with that in order to be like, but this is what my heart says to do it.
And that might be stereotypical a little bit, but there are that might be a stereotypical example. There are parental expectations.
Yes.
Like people, parents have an expectation. We shouldn't. I don't know if we should or we shouldn't, but anyway, you do have expectations of what you want your child to be happy. That's what I look at.
Yeah, you would think that, but some people be like, I don't care about your happiness. We sacrifice for you to be able to have a better life, but a better life for that person might not necessarily be what a better life looks like for you. Right?
And that's part of generational wellness, because you have to get to a place where you can honestly,
and we're not from an immigrant community.
Yeah, so you can honestly talk to your parents and say, this is what I want for my life, and they can respect that. And
they could also disagree, and y'all could disagree.
They can disagree, but they can respect it, and that's a place of wellness that some families have that dynamic, and they really have to get to. And then hopefully, if you've lived that out yourself and had challenges with it, you won't inflict that on your own children. Hopefully you learned, from what you went through, that that's not something that you want to do for your child. So how do you get to the practical tips of knowing what you need to understand your heart? Well, you have to explore your vulnerability. You have to look at yourself and say, what am I feeling? And for a lot of people, honestly, believe it or not, that's really hard to say what they're really, really feeling, because it means you have to look at some truths. You have to look at some truths that you may not really want to look at. You have to explore some emotions that you stuffed and packed away because for self-protection or whatever. You've been through some kind of trauma. You've been through some situation where in order to survive, you had to stuff all your feelings about that. And the idea of going back and opening them back up and looking at them again is not something you want to think about.
Or you might have to start all over again. You know what I mean? It's like you might have built something in a particular way. And, we were just talking about that for us with a couple of things of being like, sometimes we just, got to start to think about this differently, or just start all over again from a completely new perspective as you learn and grow and find out more about yourself or more about that thing you were working on or whatever. Just be malleable and adaptable.
That's good. That's good. And listen to that inner voice. Trust your instincts. God gave them to you. They're in there for a reason. And it's going to be a journey. Knowing and understanding your heart, what makes you tick, why that makes you mad, why that makes you sad, why that makes you happy, why that makes you joyful. You need to know all those things. You need to know it and understand it.
Big facts. And sometimes them instincts is trial and error. Okay. Sometimes you just gotta try it, see how it go, and then it may or may not work out. But that too can be very devastating. Okay. I called it a dirty word, but I wasn't just. So vulnerabilities, I feel like they're just making the rounds in the culture in terms of terminology, but they can be very, very uncomfortable, right? Because don't nobody want to get played, okay? Don't nobody want to get manipulated, exploited. You're not going to play me. You're not going to play in my face. You just not going to get me, okay? I'm not finna get got, okay? That was a very aggressive version of that. But anyway, those are like the inner panic striction. Y'all remember, what's that movie Inside Out? Y'all remember the little red guy? I think he was angry and he was just like that. That's how that feels, right? That's The Incredibles. It's a different movie, but Jack, yes.
But I mean, he's Jack's first cousin.
Yeah, where you just be like, you just think the worst, most irrational possible crazy thing can happen will happen. And sometimes you're right, but most of the time, our brains are trying to protect us. So they always going to give you the worst case scenario because it wants you to be protected. That doesn't mean it's true.
Prepared, yes.
But it's just trying to warn you in case something is going left. Okay. I had a couple times that happened to me this week, and I had to talk to myself well, why do you do that? Why do you think that? And why do you? But I realized it was probably just my brain protecting itself, trying to prepare for what could be a possible outcome. None of what I was thinking happened, but I was prepared. Anyway, vulnerabilities and being emotionally accessible to others is always tricky ground. Okay. Because I don't trust you. We don't trust people like that. We don't trust them. Even the people very intimately and closely, sometimes you're I don't really trust them neither, if I'm gonna be 100. Okay.
It could all go left.
I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying that's part of survival instincts and protection and how we've maintained as a species and whatever. Yep. So that's just basic physical survival instincts. But when you're talking about mental and emotional health too, then I feel like the level, but now we at the Olympics, okay? Like you really not finna just be out here having me look crazy, okay? So that's where boundaries come in, right? All the things we talk about making sure that you are surrounding yourself with safe, capable, hopefully emotionally well, or on the road to emotional wellness. Okay. If you got that friend that anytime you try to come to them with an emotional vulnerable moment or somebody that says something and they want to pop off, that might not always be the person. Now, sometimes they right. Okay. Let me go ahead and say this. I don't condone violence, but I understand it. For some people, that's their language. It's the only language they understand. So I feel like everybody need at least one hitter, you know what I mean? Somebody that's willing to be like, if it comes to that, I don't think it should come to that all the time. But sometimes.
But it might.
That's the only language. Lauryn Hill once said, and even after all my logic and my theory, I had MF, so you ignorant people hear me, okay? She didn't say people, but you know what I mean. Some people that just, you know what I mean? That's how I gotta go. So anyway, finding healthy people, you know, they working toward being better, okay?
Yes.
But making sure you have proper boundaries. So everybody don't need to know all your things. Okay, let's just start there. Everybody's not worthy of knowing that side of you.
Yeah,
and that's across the board about anything. Okay, you don't be giving out your social security number and your address and everything else to everybody else. Think about some of your mental and emotional components as assets like that. Like how you would think about finance. You ain't gonna give people the key to your house,
and your
the combination to your vault. You know what I mean? All your passwords,
your bank ID and password,
emails, or here, take my passport. Like you just wouldn't do that. You would be like, what kind of idiot is out here just willy-nilly trusting people? Okay. Mental and emotional health is like that sometimes.
That's you just gotta, for discernment with the people.
Some of our discernment ain't that good though. I'm just saying. So, you know, discernment, meditation, okay, get you some trusted counsel, okay, of some people that can help you navigate, especially when you are in a vulnerable space or if you are emotionally triggered. Those are the things that can save you.
Okay. And if you know you got some heart issues, like you know that you have been in a place where you've made some
strides.
No, backwards. You've made some decisions based on your heart that didn't turn out well. Yeah, like if you have a history of that, and if you have a pattern, as we like to say, of making these hard decisions, and then you look up and you like, how did this happen to me again? Like if that keeps happening, that's when you have to be open and honest enough with somebody to say, okay, it was going like this, and then this happened, and that's where I got off. And if you're open and honest and vulnerable enough to share that with somebody that you trust, you can start to see a pattern of where you're not necessarily making the best decisions based on what your heart is telling you. And that will let you know that you need to bring in some of that practicality, the thinking about the consequences, the accountability. You need to start to layer that on top of your heart issues instead of just going, I'm gonna just go with my heart. No.
And let me tell you something, the patterns is everything. Okay. It becomes a different situation when you can see the patterns. Also going back to Swagger. Jace Carson, they're in the title card for Swagger. It says Swagger, but it's also a maze. So when he was younger, this isn't really a spoiler because it happens in the first episode. His dad leaves. Okay, so that's a big storyline. But his dad gave him this maze that he always looks at, and throughout the series, he'll be facing something or going through something, and his dad was trying to teach him how to get out of situations. Right? It's a big metaphor of like, okay, sometimes you got to look at the situation and be like, okay, where's the maze showing me that I should go? Where's the place that I can get out? Okay, that's what mental and emotional patterns are. Kind of to what she's talking about. Some of us are at the stage where we just looking at the maze for the first time and being like, ooh, what is all this? Or things are popping out at us like whack-a-mole that we ain't, maybe it's happened before, but we ain't paying attention to it. Or
we just think that
one thing or whatever, right? Or maybe you're in a space where you're like, man, I'm really triggered, or I'm really this, or whatever. Wherever you are, wherever you're coming into the create generational wellness space, okay? But then there's the matrix level, where you can step out of everything and start to look around a little bit. And once you could pick apart the patterns, your own personal patterns or other people's patterns, then you can start to neo matrix and do that whole bullet situation where if the bullet is flying for and right in front of you, you can just push it out the way or you can move out the way. But part of it is you have to do the work to be able to identify the patterns, which is a lot of what we're talking about. Okay.
Got to work through the matrix.
But if you are a person who thinks that vulnerability, which is not 100% your fault, it's societal too, that it's weakness, or you'll be rejected for your vulnerabilities, or you'll be judged for your vulnerabilities, or you deal with abandonment or whatever. Anything that makes you feel like me being vulnerable will leave me in a spot again to be played, subjugated, okay, exploited. You're not gonna play me. I understand. I'm with you. Yeah, anything that has you feel like you're gonna lose control, right? Because that's really what that's all about at the end of the day. You feel like you're losing control. You feel like you're being come for in a way that is possibly dangerous and detrimental to your personhood. Okay. So yeah, just noting that, because vulnerabilities are important. It is a big part of the mental and emotional creating wellness landscape, and it's a part of being able to undo and unsee the maze of your heart, said trauma, whatever the thing is that we're talking about.
Undo and unsee the maze. You have to be vulnerable to see the maze, first of all, that you're in one, because sometimes you just want to pretend like everything's all right, and it's not. You're in a maze. You're in a conundrum. You're twisted up. You're tangled up. So be vulnerable enough to say that and try to figure out how to get to it, because that's getting well. This is where the wellness part comes in, okay? If you can't be vulnerable, you can't have good relationships. And if you can't have good relationships, you can't be vulnerable if you don't know your own heart. So it's like this big maze where I don't know my heart. I can't be vulnerable. I can't open up to nobody. Oh, I'm by myself. Oh, I'm having a bad relationship. Oh, over and over again, because you don't take the time to step back for a minute and say, okay, let me just figure it.
You keep hitting the same wall in the maze.
Let me figure this out with me and God for a minute here, and let's just open my heart to Him, if that's your choice, or just open your heart and sit quietly and ask. I don't know how to say it without saying, and ask God to show you what is going on in your heart so that you can start to get well. All right. You won't be able to trust yourself if you don't do this. You won't be able to trust anyone else, because you're going to always hear these lies and things playing in your head based on what happened in the past and not the truth and the reality of where you are or who you are. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating to try to be in a relationship with somebody who can't trust themselves, who won't be open and vulnerable, because here you are trying to move to a different level
up,
talk about things, or understand how you all can work together in a good way, but that person is somehow stunted in their growth.
They keep hitting the same walls in the maze. And you like, stunted. I went left. Why did you go left? You went right and ran straight to the wall.
Yeah, stunted in their growth because they can't be vulnerable and open enough to see what's really going on, And like Jess said, there's a negative side of being vulnerable, because some people don't deserve space in your life like that. But
also don't push away the people that do, that might, or could.
But here's what happens. If you don't take the time to know your heart and get healed from whatever was going on in the past that was kind of traumatic and made you want to shut your heart down, when the good people do come, you still stuck, because
now you're missing out.
That heart still has a vice on it, or a grip or something that won't let it open up and function fully the way that God intended it to do. So
big facts.
That's all I'm gonna say. You want to promote connections. You want to have connections in your life that promote wellness. All right.
Overall
emotional well-being. You want to empower yourself. You want to empower your children. Sometimes you got to empower your mom to go back and have an emotional awakening, because let's be clear, a lot of our mothers and
older generation, physical survival. There was nothing else.
There was no time to think about emotional well-being. People were trying to survive as a
because
history.
People were trying to kill you,
which they still are. But as a history for our people, survival was the most important thing, and you just did what you had to do. So a lot of your parents and the older generation, we are walking around with a lot of emotional trauma, a lot of baggage, a lot of broken hearts, a lot of things that just we never had time or tools or anybody that cared about us to have to talk to us about it. So like we said,
and not even cared about, just didn't know at all.
So you'll hear us say sometimes, you probably are the agent of change that your family is waiting on. Exactly. If you're here with us and you're listening, there's something in you that identifies with the fact that emotionally, I need to make some changes. The people in my family need to make some changes. I need to impart some changes to my children. And so if you're that person, stick with it and come on and do the work and try to get well and learn how to make meaningful connections that will promote wellness.
I ain't gonna lie to you. That's always not the easiest thing to do, which is why we have this kind of space, right? So we can kind of lean and connect on each other for the days that it's difficult and it's tiring. And I encourage you, sometimes you got to walk away. I don't mean long term, but you also got to take care of you. So maybe you need to hang out with the homies that day, or you know what I mean? Again, do things that are recreational, fun, enjoyable, safely, responsibly, right? But that's part of your self-care, right? So you don't want to be so broken that you don't want to be fighting so hard with people that are fighting you so hard, and then you just break down. Okay. It was like, it's okay to just pluck yourself out of that environment for a minute. Recharge, okay? Come watch Truthful Chats, okay? And then go back into the field, okay? Everybody needs, it's balance. I'm a Gemini. Everything is balanced for me.
I'm a Pisces, so everybody is for me. There you go.
You know what I'm saying? Anyway, knowing your heart involves understanding your emotions, your desires, your values, aligning them with your proper actions and decisions. Following your heart can be a great thing. It can lead to a lot of happiness and fulfillment, but with the caveats of practicality, okay, long-term consequences. And that ain't just for you. It's for everybody involved in that decision that you feel like your heart is telling you to make, and whatever passions you're following or whatever the case may be. Along with knowing your heart, with your values, right? And aligning with the things that are passions for you and things that you feel drawn to and are purposeful for you. Vulnerability is a really big component of knowing your heart, because you got to know your strengths and your weaknesses, right? Where you have triggers and things, what you're really strong in emotionally that you might be able to help people tap into. Vulnerabilities are not weakness, okay? You shouldn't be afraid of being judged or rejected or abandoned because of your vulnerabilities. If you are, those were not your people. We'll continue to say that over and over.
And it's okay.
That's okay. There's somebody for you.
Even if they're in your family, they may not be your people. And you need to understand that. Listen, they could be in your family, but they might not be your people. This is all I'm saying. And so
kinfolk ain't kinfolk, but also ain't kinfolk.
Kinfolk ain't kinfolk. I mean, you know what I mean? I hope you understand what I'm saying by that, because it is sometimes you feel like you got to get along with somebody because in your family.
Not at your detriment.
You have to love them. You have to respect them, but you ain't got to go hang out with them every
You ain't got
Friday
to lie to kick it. What, you know what I'm saying? You ain't got to
play beer whist every Friday night at your auntie's house. That get on you don't have to. So give yourself permission to say, that was toxic. I just let go of something yesterday. I was dealing with a business thing and it was driving me crazy.
Now,
and I was trying to.
The millennial in me, when she had said this 2 weeks ago, was like,
let it go.
Epic. We off that then. Like, let's move on to the next thing. Let's use our energy for doing something else. Now, here we are 2 weeks later. She finally made an executive decision to take her hands off the wheel. But, you be
trying to help people. You be trying to empower
support our people in their business endeavors, but you got to come correct.
But and I'm telling you, I had the best night's sleep I've had in 2 weeks yesterday after I made that decision. But
you see, I could have stepped on her toes. I had already known what the executive decision should be, but you got to let people make their own executive decision.
But in my heart, I was trying to make it work, but I knew.
And now you feel better, right? That's why
I said. I feel so much better.
Yeah, because them ain't your people that you need to be doing business with. And it sounds like a lot of other people don't need to be doing business with them either. But, I guess fat meat ain't greasy. You got to figure this stuff out in your own time. So,
saying all that to say,
it is what it is. Anyway,
if you
sometimes your heart is leading you in the right direction the first time. Okay, it's practical. It has a great long-term consequence.
Yes,
okay?
Indeed. All of the things lined up.
Everybody co-signed.
Everybody
co-signed. Not all. You don't always need everybody's co-sign, but it helps. Okay?
Yeah, everybody co-signed. So yeah.
And then
that's a very good example. I knew in my heart, long-term consequences are better this way. All of the lineup, the trusted counsel, the whatever, all of it lined up to be like, okay, this is the best decision.
And sometimes I was watching Peter Pan the other day. Wendy decided she was finna walk that plank. And if you gonna walk that plank, just walk that thing. You know what I'm saying? Peter Pan happened to save her from the splash. But I don't know. Maybe Jesus will be your Peter Pan. I don't know. Some of y'all, though, is going to splash. And that might be a part of your process, too. I'm just saying. Whatever your heart is committing you to do and you with it, I'm just saying go 100%. Okay? Again, with practicality and long-term consequences and everything. In total.
It's like gumbo. You got to put everything in the pot to make it good. You can't just go with one thing.
And we're going back to vulnerabilities, okay, again. Everybody's not worth your heart. Let's just say that. Okay. Everybody's not worth your time, your energy, your attention. Okay. You got to have your proper boundaries emotionally, mentally. You got to be staying true to yourself and what you want and your emotional well-being. Because you're trying to establish a lifestyle of wellness that will lead to a culture of wellness for you and said people that you influence.
Lifetime of wellness, culture of wellness.
That's good. I like
T-shirt.
But yes, man, but you gotta, the heart. I know the saints be saying it's deceitfully wicked above all things, who could know it, and that has its place. But also, the Lord gave it to you for a reason. Hopefully, your heart,
fill it with His love.
Your heart, your spirit, and your mind is all in alignment.
If you fill it with His love, you're gonna be all right.
With practicality, long-term consequences, and hopefully some people that can co-sign with you. Okay, but if you and Jesus is walking the plank,
and they don't have to co-sign, they can just tell you the truth.
That's true.
Because sometimes it might not be the same, but at least it's people that you trust.
You can agree to disagree. Just find you some people that you trust.
Wise counsel.
And then, also, if you walk that plank and it ain't no Peter Pan to save you and you splash, hopefully your people will help you recover, okay? They shouldn't be pointing and laughing. Right.
Before that shark comes.
Right. They shouldn't be pointing and laughing. It was alligator. Pointing, crocodile, actually. They shouldn't be pointing and laughing and talking trash or whatever. You want to have a safe place to land should said heart decision, said instinct, said thing not work out. Because again, we said sometimes you got to test the waters a little bit. You got to test some things out, and your instincts and what your heart is telling you become clearer and clearer and more and more crystal clear over time. Anyway, with that, thank you so much for joining us. Watch Swagger seasons 1 and 2. Currently on Apple TV Plus.
And let us know what you think
Let us know what you think about that.
Jace's heart decision.
I'm for it. Team Jace over here. Who else did we say that we would do affiliations for? Who we say? Ways. If you would like to pay us to promote anything for you, we are accepting that.
Oh gosh.
We're trying to find some affiliate plays. That's neither here nor there. Anyway. It's time to go. So long, farewell, Wiedersehen, goodbye. We are continuing to travel
I like
through.
You for keeping the Sound of Music thing.
No, we love it. I feel like we should switch to West Side at some point, but it'll
all right.
Anyway, it's September. We're still talking about I don't know how many. Is it only one Thursday left in September, or we got 2 more? I think we got 1 more. I think this is it. This Thursday is coming in.
Oh yeah, next Thursday is it.
This has been a very busy month for me, so I'm trying to figure out.
A lot more stuff we want to talk about knowing. So we got to hone in on what we're going to do next week.
Whatever. We'll be here. Anyway, but you ain't going to know. If you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, follow us on IG, liking us on Facebook. If you are not following us on Fanbase, if you ain't dropping us no messages, okay, leave some comments, hit us up in the DMs on all of these various platforms. If you're listening to us in the audioverse, please rate and like and all them things. leave a little review and whatnot. Let us know if we're helping you, because that's why we exist.
Our goal.
And that's why we're here. That if you ain't got nobody in your current life currently that's in your tribe, that's your family or your friends, anybody else
that you can talk to about what you're feeling,
flip us on every Thursday or whenever you feel led, and we'll be here for you. We'll be here for you. Might be a little rough and tumble. We might be dog tired, but we're gonna be here because consistency is the only cheat code. Shout out to the chance. Anyway, with that, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Have a good week.
Peace.